pantry restock day, and as you just saw, I went through my kitchen pantry cupboards and I took out anything that was expired, and it wasn't horrible, but I had, you know, a decent amount of things I had to throw out because they had expired, and I can't stand that. So this is all the more reason why, like I said in last week's video or a couple weeks ago, the what I'm not buying in 2025 video, I talked about spacing out my grocery trips so that I'm forced to go into my pantry more because I buy a lot of produce with my grocery trips. So I tend to like think, okay, once the produce is done, it's time to go get more stuff. Not to say that that might not be true, but I feel like I'm just like not going into my pantry enough and getting creative with some of the sauces or the pastas or the canned goodies I have in here. And really using them to you know, their fullest, and using them before they expire, because some things like an Annie's mac and cheese I had in there, I love. I don't know why I didn't use it in time. Like, that's crazy to me. There's no reason for me not to have eaten that. And I think it's just because I'm not being forced to go into my pantry enough. Stretching out my grocery trips is one way to just force myself to go into there and be more creative with what I have. And also thinking about what things I need to have stocked in my pantry so that I can be creative too. So one of the things that I like to always make sure I have are things like flour. I just bought this bread flour the other day, and also a new all-purpose flour. Try and get the 2.5 kilogram package because I like to make a lot of pizza doughs or breads or bagels or even baking cookies, banana bread. These are things that when I make them, they really help stretch out grocery trips. And also yeast packets. Now I do a lot of yeast recipes, so I guess you would assume that buying like the jar would be a better bet for me, which it might, but I don't make enough stuff to be able to go through a jar like that super quickly. And the problem with yeast is sometimes when you try and activate it, you'll have dead yeast at times. One of these might be dead, but the other two aren't. And I've had it where I buy the jar before and then I realize the whole thing might be dead, and that's always more devastating when you realize the whole jar is dead versus just one square on a packet. Another very good pantry staple is quinoa. I like the red quinoa or the tri quinoa because I just find it a little bit heartier for the salads I like to do. I've been trying to get back into the swing of things with quinoa, and me and quinoa are going through a little bit of a love affair right now. 100% peanut butter is another one I always like to have multiples of on hand because I use it all the time, not just like on bread products, but for recipe making as well. Coconut sugar, brown sugar, these are also restocks that I made a couple days ago, but I had to dive into them already. But I want to show them as like things that I'm just making sure my pantry is stocked up on. One thing I want to do with this brown sugar though is actually put it in a mason jar. I usually store it in this like kind of OXO container, but I find that it dries up really fast even with one of those brown sugar stones that you can get for it. But I put some brown sugar, the last time I bought brown sugar, in a mason jar with just the regular mason jar lid, like that metal lid that it comes with. And it stayed fresh forever. So I think like the seal is just extra tight, particularly for brown sugar that is so sensitive if it's exposed to air. So I'm gonna try and find one to put this in. Masking tape is one of my favorite labels for expiry dates. I just put it on the bottom there and then it's good to go. My spice cabinet is always one I have to stay on top of, not just for the ones I use regularly like garlic powder and smoked paprika, which I'm both out of, but also for the ones that I don't use enough and have been there for a while. Like, you don't want to be using stale old spices, so it's important to also like pay attention to those spices that don't get as much love. So new smoked paprika and new garlic powder. I'm gonna open these so they're ready to go. Smoked paprika and garlic powder are like two of probably some of my most used seasonings, so they really help me make happy meals at home. Happy meals meaning like flavorful ones. If I didn't have these on hand, I think I'd be a little disappointed about anything that I really have to make. I will say I do reuse these containers a lot and sometimes just buy the spices to refill these jars because they're glass, but I've had these ones for quite a long time. So this time around I decided to just freshen them up. I've been on the hunt for the past few months looking for a peppercorn mill that A, I really love, and B, also has a metal grinding mechanism, so the bottom isn't made of plastic. So I found one and I really loved it, but I think it ended up being 80, 70 bucks for it. And I thought, that's just, like, I can probably find something that I love that's a bit cheaper than that one. Fast forward a few months, I'm at HomeSense and I found that same grinder, just in a different colorway, for 50, 60% off. And it's this one right here. It's by the company Pegoot. I'll try and find a link to one down in the description box below so you can know the name and style. I just love something about this. Like, it's very modern and sleek, but still traditional looking. The color is gorgeous. The one I was looking at earlier was more of like a blush pink, which was also really pretty, but I love the color green too. And this one was only $30 in comparison to the exact same one that I found for, I don't know if it was $69 or $79 about a month and a half ago. Maybe 2 months ago. So sometimes I find with purchases, you really just have to be patient and kind of like trust that you'll know when it's the right time to like make a purchase, because everything will kind of align and you won't have like all these doubts. And I feel like the universe rewarded me by making me find this at HomeSense the other day. HomeSense is also such a great hack for anything to do with your kitchen. I mean, for home stuff in general, like even books, it's become a really great place. But I just love that you can find really high quality brands there if you're just, again, patient. So I'm just gonna transfer these over. Oh my God, it works. And the sound, so good. Now I've got pepper all over my counter. But this is great. It's the little things that make me so happy. Kitchen is done, and I actually want to do a little meal prep task for the first time. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna try making a really basic homemade granola. I do want to expand what I put in my own granola when I make it at home in the future, but I just kind of want to get a sense of what this process is like. So the only things I'm really using, the chunky ingredients I'm using, are oats, pumpkin seeds, and almond slivers. Forgot to get coconut, shredded coconut too. I would have loved to have put that in here, but I'm gonna use these 3 things as the basis of my granola, just to top on some yogurt this week and see what that's like, because granola is one of those things I love buying at the grocery store. I actually have a favorite granola. It's like this dark chocolate strawberry based granola, but I do sense it's one of those things that's easy to do at home, and again, something I can do for cheaper and probably for just a bit healthier because I'm controlling the ingredients that are going within it. And I feel like this would just be a really simple weekly task for me to do. And then I can change up my granola depending on like what the vibe is for the week. But yeah, I've never done this myself. I don't think this is gonna be revolutionary, but I'm really excited about it because this is something that I have really grown to like using on my yogurt every day, my Greek yogurt. But I think it'll be so great if I can start making this myself. I've got a bowl here on my food scale, starting off with 135 grams of rolled oats. So you see, I'm not making a ton. I don't want to waste a ton of granola and supplies if this turns out horribly. So we're going in with a small attempt first. That's also why I bought the pumpkin seeds and the almond slivers from the bulk food store. There's a store in Canada called Bulk Barn, and it's just like this huge store full of like those bulk bins that you see at the grocery store. What's great is, yes, you can buy big amounts of ingredients, but you can also buy super small amounts. So I was able to just buy like a handful of pumpkin seeds so I can experiment without actually committing to a full bag. Doing 30 grams of pumpkin seeds, which is about 1/4 cup. And we've got 25 grams of slivered almonds, which are also about 1/4 cup. I love cinnamon, so I'm gonna put a teaspoon of cinnamon in there. Pinch of flaky sea salt. I'm gonna use maple syrup for this. I did watch like a TikTok video that explained the differences of using maple syrup versus honey. I think maple syrup isn't gonna create such clumpy granola, but if you use honey, it gathers them, the clusters together more. Put a dash of vanilla extract in here. I'm just gonna do a tablespoon of olive oil. And now I stir it together. God, I love the sound of a wooden spoon. Spread this out as much as possible, and in the oven it goes. I made the not so smart decision to stay up till 3 a.m. reading yesterday. I was reading Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is the 3rd and final installment in the trilogy, and it's very popular on Book Talk. And whenever a book comes out on release day that is like this big, I am so scared of getting spoiled. So something came over me. I started this at 7 in the morning. I had a full work day, did the whole making dinner, shower routine, you know, like I had like stuff to do. So I wasn't like reading all day, but at 7 p.m. I started and did not stop till 3. And there you have it, 500-ish pages. Just not gonna give away my spoiler thoughts on it, but this has been like a really good palate cleanser fantasy series for me. It's a YA series. Although like I find like the actual fantasy world of this not necessarily like groundbreaking to me, I think the characters are what got me. And in particular, I read the novella right before reading the 3rd book in the series. So recommend that, because that novella actually pained me. But yeah, I'm glad I can now scroll in peace on social media. Which, speaking of social media, I decided to finally take advantage of app limits on my phone, and I set an app limit of 1 hour for Instagram and 1 hour for TikTok, which still sounds pretty high, but that's a lot less than what I spent on them previously. And also I still need to like work on them too. Like I still need to like draft things and post on stories on Instagram. Like there's still stuff that needs to happen for work. It's been great to know in the back of my mind that there's an app limit clock going on, so that when I go on these apps, I'm very aware of like, am I actively participating in the app or am I here on autopilot mode? I don't think there's anything wrong about scrolling. I just think you have to do it like with a purpose and not just doing it while you're waiting for water to boil in your kettle or waiting for a page to load on your computer. Like I find myself just going to it whenever there's these blank moments, and I want to cut that, because those blank moments are opportunities for you to just be with yourself, think, not be stimulated. And oftentimes I find it's in those moments when I'm on social media that I actually feel gross when I leave it, and it impacts me throughout the day, whether it's like you see something that you didn't like, that stressed you out, or maybe you started comparing yourself and your life to something that's happening to someone else. It's just a really complicated experience. I know all of us kind of more or less struggle with finding that balance, but we're trying app limits first, and I thought I'd mention it here because I've always heard about app limits, but I've never really implemented it myself. I've done other strategies like moving my apps to different places on my home screen regularly, so that I'm like consciously getting out of that autopilot mode, because your thumb has memory of where these apps are located on your phone. And that's like one simple way that I feel like it forces me to be like, wait, what am I hunting for right now? Oh, I'm hunting for Instagram? No, I don't want to go on Instagram. Like, let me put that away. But when your muscle memory like is just so used to navigating with these apps, like you kind of have to do things like that to shake yourself out of that. Also, I feel like I won the Libby Library lottery because I managed to get Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This is her new book, borrowed from the library within a couple weeks of the release date, which is huge because sometimes you're on waiting lists for a bit. I dialed in and I got it. This is one of the times where I really do like just appreciate the colored covers on my Kobo. There's just something satisfying about being able to see all my little babies there. Cute. I feel like a chef right now. I tried my first attempt at pão doce, which is a Portuguese sweetbread, and these scrumptious lemon brownies. I think they're technically like a blondie because they don't have cocoa in them. How incredible do both these look? I don't know how this one tastes, but this one tastes delicious. I filmed these both for short form content, so they'll be on YouTube Shorts soon, but Instagram and TikTok are other places to check that out. I'm so excited about this one. You should definitely wait for this to cool completely before cutting into it, but I can't wait. Oh, it smells sweet. Moment of truth. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, it just makes me so happy. I can't cry over bread. Food is such a great connector. Recipes, family recipes, or cultural recipes are such a great connector to our backgrounds. And you know, I don't speak Portuguese fluently, and I don't get enough of it in my day-to-day, but I find food as I get older and older more and more something I want to prioritize in learning and bringing into the kitchen. I want to get into these desserty type things that just, yeah, also feel like another connector. Like pastéis de nata, I'd love to do that one day. I think it's a lot of work, but I want to do it. Do you guys remember making these as a kid? We would call them fortune tellers, but they're also known as chatterboxes. And I just made my first one in ages. I had the idea to make one of these not as a fortune teller to tell my future like I did when I was a kid. This was a recess favorite, let me tell you. But I thought of it as kind of like this out of box fun way to decide what you want to do during a self-care session. I have so many different things I love to do for self-care, and sometimes just the act of choosing takes away time from the time that I could be spending engaging in the activity. And this is a really just simple way to bypass any thinking. So I made this template with all these pre-filled in ideas. Like this one's a 30-minute phone detox for point number 2. And if you want to download it for free, there's a link in the description box below. I also made it so that you can fill all the self-care items yourself with whatever you want, or you can make your own fortune teller, whatever. And there's different color combos for the chatterboxes depending on your style. But I just thought this was great. I know a lot of people like talk about creating their dopamine menu, which is kind of the same idea. It's curating a list of things that make make you feel good, and it's available for you to pick from when you're ready to have that time for yourself. But hey, I thought, let's turn this into a craft and I had a great time with this. I think the key here is that whatever answer you get, you have to commit to. So you gotta treat the chatterbox as law. But yeah, I have been doing this all afternoon. I think my e-readers need a little judging too. I have the same cover on both of them, my Kindle and my Kobo. I feel like I need to have like an artsy afternoon and get customizing them. By the way, if you do want to buy this, you can buy it off of the link in the description box below. You just print it out and put it behind your clear cover, and there you go.
Sun cats through the corner of my window, playing catch. I wonder, do they get tired? Good company purring on my lap, not a single worry to be had. Sunny side up, the only thing that's filling my brain. For now it's sunny side